All right, day 2, and now I got my new battery ready to install. You can see everything's ready to go here. But yeah, it's that tight little spot for that battery. Okay, so what I did was I got a Dremel, all right, which is, if you don't know what a Dremel is, it's one of these things right here. Okay, and I got like a little stone on it. And what I did was I noticed that my power leads to my battery were pretty corroded, so I went ahead and cleaned those up nice and pretty, both sides. Here's my ground. And see, notice how it's at a 90-degree angle. Okay, that's how these are. Now, that is a factor. Let me show you. So I got my new Super Start Power Sport AGM from Craig and O'Reilly. Now, see, the Harley battery is unique, whereas these posts sit exactly flush. Exactly flush with the case. So if I turn it, you can see these don't really fit flush with the case. They're off about 1/8 of an inch. Now, when you're putting those leads on, you want them to sit flush and where it's going to connect, all the way across. So what I did was I happened to find me some old shims from another battery I had for I think it was from my Kawasaki, but I didn't use. I'm going to use these. And it's like a half moon. They're brass. It's like a half moon shape, right? And that's because that won't be in the way when you tighten it down. And that's going to push out that bolt head far enough where it's not going to interfere, see? Where you could tighten it up flush when you connect those power leads. Now that's important because you don't want any arcing. You got gasoline on the bike, that's never good, and it could jack up your battery having it arc out on you. You want a nice solid connection. Okay, and I saw a video from a Harley technician on YouTube, and that's what he was saying. So I'm gonna go by what he said because he probably knows a lot more than I do. So anyways, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna slide it in and connect it. Okay, so you see how that ground lead is sitting nice and flush. It's not canted to one side or the other, good clean connection. So you're going to want to put your spacer on first, okay? Then put on your lead, then put the bolt on, just like that. Make sure it's nice and snug and tight. Don't over tighten it. There's your positive connection to your battery. This one was a little bit more tricky because you got to attach the other. Make sure you attach that other lead on there that goes to your quick connect to charge the bike with. Make sure your connections are nice and snug and tight before you put everything back. You don't want to have to tear everything apart again, Okay, so now that the battery's back in and connected, you want to start with this clip here that I took out in the previous video to get this battery out, right? Sorry. Bam, make sure it's a positive clip, positive reconnection. Now, this whole panel, you're going to manipulate it back where it was. And you see how there's slots on this I was showing you in the earlier video? Those got to go in right there. See those two holes? Rectangular holes? Right there. Okay, so we got to slide that in. You got to kind of manipulate. You might have to push this back over again. Just so you can, just so you can push it back in. Make sure your wires are going to be where you want them. Out of your way. Okay. All right, couple of things. Make sure, you know, because you had to squash all this stuff down. I had a couple of these, you know, hoses disconnect here, so make sure those are all connected. This one came loose too. I believe that's for your overflow for your radiator. But I believe this goes on the outside of that cover. So when you're putting it back in, you got to manipulate this down a little bit. Sorry. Like that. And that needs to be like that. Then you're gonna have to push this cable back in like that. You have to move your wires back around because man, I tell you what. You see, this has got to sit right in here, pushed all the way up and around this damn thing. Just like that. You see how I put that cable back in there like that? Okay, I'm telling you what, man. It's a total bitch. You can see where that bolt, for this top bolt, for this side piece here, it's way back in there, so you got to get it flush enough to get back in there. Okay? So you want to get this part, all these hoses got to go on the outside of that cover, because that cover's got to bolt up right there on the top right there, that hole, and on the bottom. It's hard to see, but it's right there on the bottom. There's two of them, right? So you want to get all these hoses and crap out of the way, and then slide in the cover this side in first, and don't worry about that back side yet. That's the only way you're gonna be able to do it, because you want that flush so you can bolt it up against that battery. Okay? Again, make sure all your hoses haven't got disconnected in this area around in here, because they like to come out real easy. But you could see this thing is going to clip in right there. There's a little U-shaped clip where that pushes in, and I got the top bolt in. You see that? That 4mm hex, got that bolted in. This only goes one way. You have to do it this way or else it won't work. Okay, and I'm going to show you again when I get some more stuff put back in there. But I'm going to go ahead and secure that bottom screw so this plate is locked in. You can see now I finally got it locked in over there, but I had to push it in from this side first. You got to make sure that stupid little charging cable is up and out of the way too, because it has to sit all the way flush up against that spot to put that bolt all the way in. Alright, so see how this routing is? That's where you want that main wire harness to be. Okay, just like that. These hoses and things and wires and whatnot, they're kind of like that. Okay, now I want to put this 40 amp fuse back into this spot right here. Alright, so the fuse is back in, and this doohickey right here, you see how it has like a little channel? Well, that slides right on this little bracket right here, and it tucks in just like that, locks in just like that. Okay, and this kind of just tucks back inside. It does have a clip, I think. It does clip in right in here. Okay, so it kind of goes in sideways next to this. Hold on, I'll show you what it looks like. All right, see how it's locked in nice on that panel? Now you got this lead and this lead. Do this big one first. It locks in too. Hold on. All right, so for your relay box deal, you want to make sure it's oriented this way, not this way, this way. And there's a clip. See that clip right here? And that is going to go in here from the bottom and slide up. Okay? So now this is locked into that side cover from the battery. And my last one is this little skinny guy here. Okay? And you're going to manipulate it carefully around here, back side of this, underneath here. And there's a clip on this too. Right there. And that's going to go in from the bottom and slide up and lock in. Second thought, this one's a real pain in the ass, so I went and took this back off, and it was easier to get that on to that clip. My God. So now I'm going to put this one from the bottom up back on, and then we're good. Okay, this is how it should look when you're done. Now you're ready to put the side cover back on, and just make sure it looks like mine, and it'll be the right way, and it'll work. And now we're going to do the top part, and then we're done. Right side cover back on. Notice how my wiring harness looks. Okay, it's going to look like that, because you want this to not be getting popped loose if you don't have this oriented right, but that's how your wiring harness should look when you're done. Okay, now to the top. Here's that top cover. You notice there's two bolt holes. You can only go one way. And there's your two. Yep, one there and one down here. Now remember, this has to go, this has to go underneath all of that wires and cables and bullshit, okay? Now it takes some manipulation and patience, but I got the cover down in here, and it's beneath these wires, right? That's what you want. Now you see right here, camera might not be doing it justice here. Let me see. There's a clip and there's a little slot, so you know it's gonna lock in there. And there's another clip, right here on that plastic cover that's gonna lock in right here. Little slot right here. So get that locked in, and then we'll connect the wires and stuff. Okay, here's looking at it from the opposite side of the bike. I'm on the left side of the bike looking to the right side of the bike, and you have a little notched deal in that plate that's going to tuck up underneath that wiring harness. That might get in your way, so be mindful of that. Make sure these wires go off to that notched outside and they're not interfering with this sealing up, butting up right up against here, so you can lock in your screws that lock the plate in. Okay. Now you just got to connect all these wires and clip them back on the top of that plate. I know, bitch. Alright, the plate's locked in. I got my two 4mm bolts locking that plastic cover plate on. Remember, these 4mm hex bolts, you know, they don't need much, just hand tight, you know, just snug them up. You don't want to be, it won't take much to strip one out or break it, okay? It doesn't need to be that tight, just snug. Okay, this can only go one way, so make sure you have it the right way. But you got your little tab, make sure you have that open notch area, and that's the way it goes in. Don't try to connect it a different way. Okay, click, it's good. And then here's the lighting's bad right here, hold on. Here's our solenoid. Make sure you connect the solenoid back into this one. Same thing, it only goes one way. Gotta have that notch open little, whoop. Where are we? Right there. Make sure it goes in. That tab goes right into that spot there. Okay, all the wires are locked into the plate. Looks nice, huh? Now the solenoid. I got 2 bolts left, and they go right, goes into right there and right there. You can see it. Push it down and get your bolts in, lock it in. Okay, solenoid's locked in. Now all we have left is our ignition control module leads, and in black's on the left here, and the gray one's on the right. I think it even says they're on written, stamped on there, black and gray. Okay, and then you got your. Make sure this cable, is tucked in right inside here, this little channel, and that's going to connect here. Okay. Bam. But now, once you get these on all the way, you want to push these, excuse me, push these red tabs all the way in. And that locks those in. Nice, tight, clean connection there. Just like that. Okay, ready to put our seat back on. Thank God. This is the front of the seat that goes into the gas tank area. See this notch right here? That's going to hook in right into this. You push it all the way forward, and then you'll push the back end down and put your bolt in. Alright, battery installation done. Bike's ready to go. Let's see what happens when I turn it on. I got lights on my dash, that's good. Fuel pump's working. Yes, sir.